Hello again and welcome to another edition of Shed Talk. I'm conscious it's been a little while since we did any videos updates on the shed. I think this is the first one for this month. So like I say, back in the shed then. In this video the plan is to look at the young birds and do an assessment, reassess the young birds and look at them and see how they've come along since the video we did a little while ago. But before we do that, what I thought we'd do is have a little look at the bird that did best for me in the Oxford 1910 stock show last week. So I did post a video of that particular show up onto the channel. If you haven't seen it, I will put a link to it across the top of the screen now. As always though, if you do enjoy the videos, please don't forget to hit that like button and do subscribe. All the subscriptions help the channel, and of course do promote the fancy or the hobby across a wider audience and on YouTube. So like I say, please do subscribe. So what I'll do now then is I'll get the young birds out of the nappy flight, and while I'm doing that, let's have a look at the bird that won or did best for me at Oxford 1910. So as promised, let's take a quick look at the bird that came out top of all of my birds at the Oxford 1910 stock show. This is him. It's the yellow face grey dominant pied. And although when I put these birds up in a video a few videos ago actually now, and said which one do you think would win, nobody actually commented, or nobody put in the comments that this bird would win. However, Eddie van der Ven did say that this was a bird he would most prefer to breed with out of all of the birds we put up. So he didn't think the judge would pick him, but actually the judge did, which was very useful. Despite the fact that he was not necessarily in the greatest of conditions. So there you go. As Eddie had said that this was the one he would prefer to breed with, I'm going to try and find this one a breeding cage and a partner. But more about that in the next video. We'll have a look at what hen we might be able to find for him. There you go then. Best bird for me at the Oxford 1910 show. As you can see, he did win a rosette. So we go then. Let's start with the young birds. And what I thought I'd do when I'm comparing these young birds is just pop them in with one of my better birds in my shed. You may remember this blue cockbird. It was the bird that's in cage 3. It's now been split, and I'll explain a little bit about why I split it in the next video. Okay, so let's have a look then. We've got this young cinnamon a light blue cockbird. May remember this one. So I'll put up a comparison shot of him when he was first taken out of when we first reviewed the birds. But you can see in comparison with the blue cockbird, the older blue cockbird, and both of them are not very relaxed at the moment, so we'll try and give them a little bit of time just to settle if I can. Particularly the cockbird isn't particularly the older bird isn't showing himself particularly well at the moment. So let's talk a bit about the youngster then. Now we've seen it in comparison with the better bird. I think you can see that overall, obviously the bird's still got a bit of growing to do. It's not that old at the moment, so like I said, if all these youngsters have got a bit of growing to do. Although it's got a little bit of length in it, it's not that much shorter than the older bird, but overall it really does lack some width. Also has that terrible wing carriage and the rather unfortunate hooked tail. I'll just come back around so you can have another look at them. You can see them a bit better now, the comparison in terms of the size. Like I say, it has got a bit of growing to do. I suppose the only redeeming factor on this sky blue is that it's got a reasonably deep mask, but other than that, not a lot really for any reason for keeping this particular bird. And I'm still in the same view as I was previously when we first got this bird out, that this is definitely going in the sales cage. Nothing there to change my mind at the moment. So here's the next bird, this young light green. It refused to settle in the cage actually, so and it was upsetting the older bluebird we had in there to compare it with. So I've taken the older bird out and hope that this one will settle and also help the older bird relax a little bit. What we'll do now is we'll just compare it with how it looked when we looked at them about a month ago. There you go, there's the picture of it that you can see, and even then, once again, it wouldn't settle the last time we looked at this bird, so it's very unrelaxed in a show cage, and I'm not sure it's going to relax very much at all. It does have a reasonable size mask on it. You can see that it is just starting to go through one of its molts, or its first molt, and that's why it looks so scruffy, particularly around the head. Talking of the head, it's very narrow across the top of the head and between the eyes, so a very pointy sort of head, I suppose we could say. Doesn't have the best of stance, although like I did say earlier, it does refuse to relax. Not really got a massive amount over the top of the head, not showing that much sign of any directional feathering at the moment, and I'm not convinced that, particularly as this is a cockbird, I'm not convinced that it's going to be a keeper at the moment, but you never know, it might improve as it gets a little bit older. So I just see I'm just trying to get the bird to relax a little bit more and to show itself a bit better. There we go. It did a little bit there, but like I say, not really happy in the show cage at all. So that's this next one, the light green. Let me know your thoughts on this bird in the comments, or of course across on the Shed Talk Facebook page. And that really is this light green looked at. And moving on now to next one, this dark green, a bit more settled in the show cage than the last bird, as you can see, and with that it actually shows this very hinged tail that it's got. We'll pop up a picture of it on the screen now of it when we first looked at it, and you can see it had exactly the same problem there. So with that in mind, I'm not convinced that this bird could possibly be a keeper. I think I've mentioned it before, it is one of the slightly common faults in my shed at the moment that I really do need to get rid of. So like I say, with that in mind, it's almost certain that this bird will have to go in the sales cage. Stands reasonably well. It's a bit wider in the head than the last bird we looked at, so it does have some redeeming features and maybe of some use to somebody, but certainly not I don't think is going to make the grade for me, certainly not the way it's looking at the moment. So yeah, it's a shame that it's got that really badly hinged tail, because otherwise it might have proved to be a reasonably useful stock bird for me. But I just can't afford to keep that level of fault in it. We will have a quick flick across and show it so you can see it in comparison with the blue that you can see here. So I'm not sure if you really get a decent view of it, but you can get some idea of what I mean in terms of the its features. So again, as always, let me have your thoughts in the comments on this bird or across on the Facebook page. But that is this dark green. And now for the last of the greens, which is this dark green here. As you can probably see, it's a hen, a little bit more relaxed in the show cage than the last few birds. We'll just pull again a picture of it from a previous time we looked at this particular bird. There we go, you can see it there. For a hen, this doesn't look too bad to me, certainly for my shed. Has a reasonable depth of mask. I'll just try and get him to turn around a little bit so you can see he's got a reasonable depth of mask. Once again, is going through a first molt, so looks very scruffy, particularly around the top of the head and some of the flight feathers. As this is a hen, it's almost certainly going to be, or it will stay with me for a little while, just to make absolutely certain that it is would be a sales bird. I don't think it will be at the moment. I think this is going to be a keeper. Once again, let me know your thoughts on this bird and whether you think I ought to be keeping it, given that it's a hen. Well, here's this dark blue, the young dark blue, that I know some people liked when we showed it as a young bird. Once again, I did originally have this in with the other blue, the elder blue bird, but unfortunately they just wouldn't settle, and both of them look really tense. So again, I split them up. Let's have a quick look at what it looked like previously then. There you go. As with all these young birds, it does tend to go backwards a little bit once they've start to go through the molt and wean. And what I mean by that is they tend to look a bit worse than when they are youngsters. This bird sits reasonably well. It's very tense at the moment and not very relaxed, and when it does relax it looks a lot better than it does at the moment. You can see him in the show cage. Looks like it's going to have quite a bit around the top of the head, which could make him reasonably useful for me. And we just saw a very short clip of Dad, so if he turns out anything like Dad, that will be a bonus. At the moment I think this bird is going to be a keeper. I'm just trying to get him to show himself a little bit better in terms of the face. Maybe got a little bit of a split mask at the moment, but not too bad. Does begin to show a little bit of that directional feathering over the head. So as I say, let me know your thoughts on this one. I know some of you liked it previously. And that's the dark blue. So moving on again to the first of the opalines. This is that opaline yellow face grey. as I previously said, I think both these opalines are quite clean birds, and both of them are hens. Both these birds I thought looked really nice in the nest box. This one in particular hasn't progressed quite how I was hoping, although you can see it is still quite a biggish bird when you see it compared to the blue. I may have to split these two. Obviously not getting on too well. I'll just try and move or get them onto different perches at least if I can. Probably not. Let's have a look at what this one looked like previously. There you go. See what I mean? It was quite a wide bird. It still remains quite a wide bird, but it's beginning to fill out in terms of its length and get a little bit better in its stance. But yeah, given that this is a hen, it's got quite a wide mask, quite deep mask, quite nice shoulders on it. It has a little bit of that hinge tail that we spoke about before. But as I say, it's a hen, and it's certainly one of the better of the current or the first round of young birds, so I think this will almost certainly be a keeper. As always, do let me know your thoughts on this bird, as with all the others. Just put a quick comment below or on the Facebook page. There we go. Let's move on now then to the last of the birds. So the last of the birds then is other opaline, an opaline grey-green. Another hen. Let's have a quick look at what she looked like as a very young bird when we first moved her. There you go, you can see her there. This was one of my favourite birds out of all of them, and looked really big in the nest box. Still looking quite a nice large sized bird, particularly the head, a nice big head on it. Wing carriage, it looks a bit poor, but it doesn't have the hinge tail that inflicts an awful lot of my birds, or not as bad as most of us as some of them. Again, this one's just starting to go through its first molt by the looks of it, so looks very scruffy. I am still quite pleased with this bird, but do let me know your thoughts as well. You can see there, sorry about going off the video a little bit, but you can see that she does have quite a nice face on her. And maybe just starting to get a little bit of directional feathering, although not brilliant. Once again, quite clean for an opaline, although it does have some a bit of a dirty back on her. Overall though, not a bad bird, but as I say, let me know your own thoughts. And that's it. That's the last of all of the first round of young birds. Well, that is just about all we've got time for in this video. I hope you enjoyed that quick look at the young birds in comparison to see how they're getting on. Like I say, we will continue to look at them over the coming months. Let me know what you think of them. Let me know which one you think is going to progress the most. So yeah, just leave a comment or go over to the Shed Talk Facebook page and leave a comment on the Facebook page. But until the next video, please, of course, do stay safe and enjoy your birds.